Hey, everybody. The episode you are about to hear is one that I've been wanting to do for a long time, so I'm hoping you're going to enjoy it. You are going to hear a conversation I was able to have with Joshua James of Ocean Beach Cafe, getting into background and what he's been working on, including some more recent developments. So I'll leave it for the episode, but hope you enjoy. Take care. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Alcohol Free Radio. This is Chris Becker, and I am excited for this conversation that we're getting to have with Joshua James, founder of Ocean Beach Cafe, and some other innovations that we're going to get to and have questions about, talk about here today. So welcome, Joshua.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
I appreciate it. So listen, and thank you for the time. Before we get into it, why don't for everybody give us a bit of a background in terms of who you are and what you've been doing before you got into the wonderful world of non-alc.
Yeah, my name's Joshua James. I own Ocean Beach Cafe, and people right now are probably like, "Okay, cool, he owns a cafe." much more than a cafe.
Yeah.
And I called it that to lure people in with coffee and sandwiches right here at the beach in San Francisco.
Nice.
And when they got there, I have the opportunity to let them know what those thousands of bottles behind them are there for, and that every one of them are non-alcoholic.
Yeah.
And that's what I was put on this earth to do, is to show people what that looks like. And that was my favorite thing to do as a bartender for over 20 years. Find really cool stuff and make drinks with it, or do the bartender thing and talk about the cool stuff that I had found, because I tried as many different bottles of alcohol as I could for like 20 years. And it was obviously not a very healthy pursuit, but like chefs get into food, some people get into drinks. And that I was, from right out of high school, I was like, this is awesome. And then alcohol just doesn't hit the same at 35 and 36. And then finally late 37, I was like, these 2-week stints of not drinking is not doing it. I'm going to take a whole year off. Let's see what happens.
Okay.
And that was essentially 2020. And it brought me to San Francisco. There's a Native American rehab center here. Actually, 2 of my brothers went there. Okay. And so I knew about it. And I was in Asheville, North Carolina. I just done 2 years in New York City.
Okay.
And it was easy enough for me to not drink. I knew I was going the whole year, but I didn't want to be in Asheville, North Carolina. And I was like, let's go check out the Friendship House. I'm sure I got nothing to lose. COVID hit, and it was there where I remember I was like, oh my God, I'm going to review non-alcoholic beverages. I'm going to find them. I'm going to learn about them. I'm going to make videos. I'm going to put it on YouTube. There was this huge moment I had in my bunk, and it was just one of those big moments. And I left there after 3.5 months, and I had some unemployment money, and I went and bought $250 worth of non-alcoholic beer, wine, and spirits at Total Wine and More.
Yeah.
And I just started making videos. I'd never done that, but I was 6 to 8 months into not drinking. So I was 12 to 14 hours a day on a computer and thoroughly enjoying it, because I was so productive every day. And that was when I just started to geek out on liquor, beer, and wine that was non-alcoholic. It started June of 2020.
Okay.
And I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
And then I was shooting out here at Ocean Beach, and I walked into this deli that was permanently closing. Less than a minute of being in there, the guy was like, "You want to buy the place?" And I was like, "Sure, how much?"
Wow.
He's like, $50,000. And I was like, "Really? Yeah, you mind if I sit down?" So we had a chat, and it was a really good deal. The rent was like $1,500 a month by the beach in San Francisco for 1,000 square feet. I was like,
yeah,
I would build a non-alcoholic bar and bottle shop. And then I got on GoDaddy.com, and I typed in oceanbeachcafe.com, and it was available. And I was like,
doesn't usually happen the first time. That's good fortune.
Yeah, I was getting out of food and beverage though. I was over it. I did not want to bartend. I did not want to work in restaurants. I was selling an item on Amazon. I was like, I'm going to work
Okay.
remotely. I am
Yeah.
pivoting, but serendipity had a whole nother um had a whole nother purpose for my life. And I had 30 videos on YouTube as Josh the non-alcoholic at the time. So like I was
Yeah.
deep in it, and and then I ended up getting the funding a few months later. Somebody believed in me, and I got the lease 11 months in to a year off drinking. I had
Yeah.
Ocean Beach Cafe to
That's
build this
amazing.
non-alcoholic bar and bottle shop, and it's still here.
Congratulations. I want to go back a bit to that moment. How did you, do you remember when you were kind of searching, or like, what were the first things that, like, I remember for myself, for example, there was a time before that I didn't even know there were the quality or choice or selection of some of the products that are, especially now, but back then, do you remember how you first even discovered that there was even a category like this or products out here that you wanted to learn more about?
Yes, I do remember. I mean, the first one I was bartending in Manhattan, and
Okay.
Seedlip had come out, and they had,
Got it.
the millions of dollars to get
Yeah.
boots on the ground and let people know. And I was like, oh, okay, like I can. That's cool. There's a thing. I mean, it's really watery and it doesn't have a lot of
Yeah.
flavor, so it's hard to make a drink with it.
Yeah.
But the concept is cool and the bottle is beautiful. So that was
Okay.
the first second, and then but that was 2018,
Right.
2017. And then in 2019, when I was in Asheville, North Carolina, I was I was not drinking for a 2 week stint, and I like writing business proposals. It's fun for me, and
Okay.
business plans,
Okay.
and I
Well, that's a
like
good
put a
backup
business.
career then, because most people don't. So
It's fun for me. It's like it's kind of like like writing a book or writing a song. It's
yeah.
like you're creative, and then you get to put it into a 1 page or 2 page.
Yeah.
I highly recommend anybody to do that. Actually,
Yeah.
go make a 1 page business plan or two, whatever. But yeah,
Hmm.
it's a good exercise. It answers a lot of questions for you.
Yeah.
But I had looked into a non-alcoholic bar in Asheville, North Carolina. I was driving Lyft at the time,
Okay.
and I saw Curious Elixirs, I saw Ken
Yes.
Euphorics, I saw
Yeah.
Liars, and I saw Ritual.
Okay.
And that was December. Oh no, that was probably October, November of 2019. And then so I kind of had a little bit of it. I had a thing in my head about it,
Got it.
but it wasn't until it must have been March. I was like, this is my life's purpose, is to
Right.
find this stuff and let people know about it.
Tell me, that's amazing. So, as you kind of move through that process, you found the place that you could kind of make home and build into that. The experience with this with Ocean Beach Cafe up until now. So from June 2020 to now, a bit about, give people a feel like we're online, we're not in San Francisco, we're not uh, on the beach. Try to bring it to life for us. Like, what's it? I love the fact that it's more than just a bottle shop. You've got coffee, you've got sandwiches, and also the type of people. Like, what have you really seen and heard that stands out for you in your memory in terms of the first few years of operation?
Oh man, that is the hardest thing you could ever do, and
Yeah,
also one of the most important things you could ever do in your life. If
yeah,
anybody's got restaurant owner on their resume,
yeah.
instantly just hire them. They can do things.
They can do
They
anything.
can probably fix a sink
Yeah,
and a refrigerator. Um,
yeah.
but I had helped open probably 9 or 10 restaurants for other people, so
Okay,
I had a good amount of experience with other opening things for other people, and so this was my time. I was 38 now, and I had a chef on tap. He was already here, and he was great.
nice.
And so we could put a menu together, and we could make things happen. He had a ton of
Yeah,
experience, and so did I. And just the sheer amount of lessons you learn, like things you just thought you knew you had in the bag, and then you
right.
find out like no, you don't. You had to learn that big lesson, and then
Yeah,
another huge lesson. And it was open to close, and
yeah,
all I did was sleep and work for 2.5 years. There was
yeah.
like one or two vacations in 2.5 years or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I was into it. I was waking up, making the coffee, and I was sweeping the floors at the end of the night and
Yeah.
saving on labor to do that and just getting by. I didn't start with much, but we made it happen. Got some grants along the way, which helped. That got me through a couple hard times,
Yeah.
and then now it's triple the sales,
Beautiful.
and it started as like non-alcoholic what, and now it's like, oh my god, yeah, I stopped drinking like 8 months ago. I stopped drinking a month ago. I heard
Okay.
that twice. I heard that 3 times yesterday. I
Okay.
stopped drinking like
Wow.
34 days ago.
Yeah.
um so I get everybody. I get people that need lattes. That's what I get. I get people
Yeah.
that need food at a certain time of day,
Sure.
and then hopefully they all leave my place knowing that they just walked
You've
into
learned
a
something.
non-alcoholic bottle shop and
Yeah.
bar. It's awesome.
Yeah. It's in the back of their mind when they've then and that conversation. It's a place that's welcoming of that conversation. Nice. So, that's no small thing, getting through in any restaurant, from 2020. It's now 2024. Talk a bit about like what's happening these days. And I know you've been launching some other, I mean, even before the restaurant, you had your YouTube. So you've got content, you've got hospitality and restaurant and, you know, education going on in your bricks and mortar store. And you're working on, some other stuff. Tell everybody kind of what's happening today with Ocean Beach Cafe, with Joshua and your non-alc kind of ventures.
Yeah, there's a lot of big things that have happened. One neat thing along the way was I created an 18-minute short doc that lives on YouTube,
Okay.
and it came out really good. If you search mindful drinker, you'll get to see the state of the industry in 2021.
Yeah.
That was a neat project because that will always live in the canon for
Yeah,
a
that's
little
neat.
bit of a look and feel of where the non-alc industry was and how I went to 3 different places. I went to Denver, Austin, and then New York City, and of
Okay.
course here in San Francisco.
Uh-huh.
And I took a cameraman with me, and we edited it up, and it came out great.
Yes.
So that
That's
was a
awesome.
neat thing.
Yeah.
And other things that have happened is I pretty much have absentee owner status. I still do a lot of stuff for Ocean Beach Cafe, and
Yep.
I'm there, but I'm doing a lot of traveling right now,
Okay.
and that's the goal. Like travel for non-alc. That's always been the goal, and now I actually get to do it because I have an amazing operator who's hired an amazing team, and the
Great.
revenue is up, and everything, all the operations and the flow is great. So I'm able to stay away, which is a great thing
Yeah.
because
Not
if
easy,
you,
but
you
congratulations. That's amazing.
thank you. It's I guess you get that around 3 years, and that's about
Yeah.
what I got. A little after 3 years, and oh my god, it's amazing to not have cafe brain, as I would call it.
Yeah.
When you have cafe brain, there's a lot of other things that don't get to be made to happen, and
Right.
now I have multiple things going on. These wine bottles behind me walked into my cafe one day, and I was like, oh great, non-alcoholic red wine, like let's try again.
Yeah.
I'd actively been searching for good non-alc red, as is everybody, and actively searching for the best non-alcoholic wines in the world. Like
Yep.
seriously, that was something deep inside of me that I was like, I don't want to drink
Yeah.
alcohol, but
If
man,
I had to, yeah, the wines are
pair,
the
pairing wine with food on
yeah.
date night, with the steak that I cook or the
Yeah.
pasta, like God, that one runs deep. And then I was
Yeah.
like, you know what? Actually, I want to find the best non-alcoholic wine in the world, and that will satiate that thirst.
Yeah.
And it took 4.5 years, and it definitely has been found. And
Nice.
that's just something I just really want to share with the world because I know how much it means to, especially people that are really into wine,
Yeah.
and people that really have had like wine and food pairing experiences that really touches the soul. And
Yeah.
now there's something that fulfills that need, when especially non-alcoholic red wines, they're not even like, they're just they're
Yeah.
really not there. There's a
I
there's
agree.
a there's one or two brands that
Yeah,
at
they're
least,
getting there, but it's the farthest compared to say beer on the other end of the spectrum.
yeah, I think that and like non-alcoholic whiskey seems to be the
Hmm.
ones that are just like, God, man, this is just,
Yes.
it's hard to take very seriously. And then Geronimo happened, and that is an Austrian wine
Okay.
that has this old world funk to it, and oak, and 4 times more aroma molecules than anything else. And I
Nice.
just smelling it is just like another level. It's really cool.
Okay, tell us more about it, and maybe even bring a bottle up close to the camera so we can see it. But would love to hear kind of how you've got what varieties they have, and where you're going with them. Hey there, this is Chris Becker. I wanted to spend a minute and tell you a bit about our Better Without mobile app. We talk a bit about it on the show, but it's really a great resource for people that want to learn and find out where they can try and experience all the great beverages that are coming into the space of better for you beverages, particularly non-alc and alcohol-free. This includes beer, wine. You can search by different categories, sparkling, RTDs, find out descriptions, photography, calories, everything you want to know, and best of all, where to buy it based on your location. Or you can search different places and find out all the different restaurants and stores where you can find the different products that you love, or go online, obviously, to betterroads.com, but also other sites that we share links to let you know where you can get different products. So it's really anything that's out there in the space. It gives you one resource to learn and educate and test and try. It allows you to share. So whether you like a location that has some really good beverages that maybe others who are experimenting with drinking less or whatever want to learn about, you can share it right off the app. You can share products right off the app to all your friends and any channel you want. So I really encourage you to check it out. It's betterwithout.app, or if you go to betterroads.com, you'll see in our community a place to learn more about the app and download it. It's free, and give it a try. We hope you like it. Thanks.
Yeah, this is this little bottle right here came up to me.
Oh, I like the format.
All the way from it's actually kind of like authentically Austrian. At
Yeah.
first, I was like, well, okay, we could do something with the label, but it just grows on you, and it really
pops out.
comes from Austria, and I just love that authenticity to it.
Okay.
And a bit of a bigger label, you can see, and this will just
format.
go down in history as the greatest of all time, and it will go down in history as the number one, because there was a lot of things that happened in this process that that hadn't happened before. It needed to start with a 98 point wine, so that was a new thing. And it was a successful alcohol wine for a long time, and they make a bunch of expressions, but the Leonis was like the 98 point wine, and that was the one they chose to de-alcoholize. Nobody had done that. They're using German machines, which is really important.
Sure.
I just know that the best machines are in Germany.
Yep.
And this one really cool one in Northern Italy. But there's new aroma capture technology, which is huge. It's kind of a more technical thing.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
But it all came together, and it's a winemaker family that the family's been making wine for decades in Austria.
Okay.
And then the father gave it to the son, and then the son, his wife got pregnant, and they were like, okay, let's try all the non-alc wines. And they're like, oh my God, like the non-alc wine situation's got a long ways to go. And Absolutely. She was like, let's de-alc the Leonis. And he's like, really? She's like, we got to try. We got to try. So they did, and they got it back, and they're like, okay, well, this is the best stuff that we've tasted, and it really is. So
that's amazing.
It's been neat. So I imported 5 pallets of it. There's another 10 on the way, and I just want people to know there's some stuff. I'm starting at Michelin-starred restaurants because it ticks that box, and so it's pretty exciting to have found this thing and then get to have a more scalable product. A cafe isn't the most scalable thing unless you're really asking for it.
Yeah, that's great. That's great to hear. So, with that in place and kind of the year ahead or the next couple of years ahead, I'd love to hear with the cafe, with Zero Nemo. Sounds like you're hitting the road. What's that look like? And then, even based on your experience and background, given how long you've been in the category, kind of where do you see the opportunities or the challenges for non-alc in general? Sounds like more people are asking about it. They're not drinking when they've, based on what you see, and you get that customer interaction in the cafe. But yeah, what's happening with you hitting the road, and where do you see the category going?
Yeah, so the main priority for 2024 is to have finished a 5 minute sizzle reel to pitch to Netflix or other
Okay.
major streaming service.
Okay.
And that could take a couple forms, but I have I have a lot of confidence in getting into Netflix. And then if that deal sounds good to me,
Right.
cool, because this is the biggest subject in society. I think next to AI,
Mm.
talking about society drinking less involves the $1 trillion alcohol industry. So Big
Right.
Alc is freaking out and actively pivoting,
Yes.
and will also have something to do with the shape of this whole industry as they
Yes.
like,
Absolutely.
yeah,
They already
that's,
are.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's huge. And I'm seeing stuff like deep in there in Big Alc and whatnot that like, wait do you see what in the next year, we're, of course, every year it's just like, it's going to be a whole nother level.
Yeah.
But and then it also straddles the $1 trillion wellness industry because people want more wellness, you know. And so
Correct.
when the default's always been alcohol for every event and every birthday and every going out and dating and socializing, connecting, like this
Yeah.
is like the fabric of culture itself is essentially altered because people are drinking less. So a huge subject. So
Yeah.
I know that when we pitch it to somebody in Netflix, they're going to be like, "Oh my God, yeah! Like I stopped drinking 8 months ago, and you know, I
That
know who you need
happens.
to talk
Yeah.
to, and
That's right.
you know, we're going to
Then
get
it
you to the
becomes
right
personal.
people."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody's so excited about this stuff, and they're so
Yeah.
curious.
Especially in New
And
York and LA and Hollywood, it's like where plenty of drinking's probably gotten people to think about it more.
you know, millennials turned 37, and they were like, "I don't want to feel this way." The hangovers, they're hitting different, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that film, that's so important to me because I know that when I share the information that I want to share, and I know exactly what I want to share,
Yeah.
when millions of people hear that, they're going to be like, "Oh, that's what's going on. That's why we're hearing about all this stuff." And I'm
Yeah.
also going to be like, "And this is what is freaking delicious." As a bartender, because I'll tell you right now, if you go pick up 50 products and you go taste bartenders on them, what do you think they're going to say? Like, okay, yeah, great. This does not taste like mezcal.
Right.
And
They'll
why
tell
is
you
it
all the
so
reasons it's not
expensive?
exactly like their whatever brand they're comparing it to.
Yeah, people need to know what's going on, and then they'll have. I want to define the look and feel of it, and there's nobody doing that right now. And I have the
Yeah.
most amazing co-host to do it. Kristen Bear of Creative Sobriety is freaking hilarious and
Okay.
gorgeous, and like the woman's voice for this movement. She's the co-host, and her
Nice.
and I are just gonna like go tell the world what's going on, and that's the most important thing to me.
That's
And
amazing.
then and then you're asking about like what's next for this industry. I mean, it started out trying to copy the alcohol world,
Uh-huh.
except for some visionaries. I gotta say, Curious Elixirs
Yeah.
from 10 years ago, he started making
Yeah.
adaptogenic RTDs that like with really good ingredients. Like
Yeah. Those guys are
that's
great.
right now, RTDs and especially adaptogenic RTDs are like that's the category right now by the numbers. That's like
Yeah.
popping.
Hmm.
And Curious Elixirs was on that, 8, 10
A
years
while
ago.
ago. Yeah, for sure.
So I see herbalism coming back, coming to a full circle, or history repeating itself as far as herbalism goes.
Okay.
I'm not super inspired to go just make another non-alcoholic tequila margarita, like
Yeah.
I'm for those that are into it. I know that adaptogens and functional ingredients may not be for everybody, and I'm super sensitive to that.
Sure.
But by and large, let's just talk about the masses here. It's like
Yeah.
I want to make a. I'm so much more inspired to make a drink that has some kind of function, rhodiola or lion's mane or something that
Yeah.
has some purpose to it, and not just not just trying to copy the alcohol world. And that stuff just kind of fails and
Yeah.
sets the expectations on a bad foot. Like
Yeah.
bartenders are passionate about mezcal. You give them a non-alc mezcal, and they're like, "What am I drinking?"
Yeah. No, they're
And
coming
and
in sour. Yeah.
yeah,
For sure. Well, that's great. And then it sounds like the wine is taking off. Where do you have travels ahead? It sounds like you're not with the ocean with at the cafe, or not, don't need to be day in, day out. You said you're hitting the road. What's anything coming up noteworthy?
Yeah, we're filming third location for this film.
Great.
That'll be happening in the next 3 weeks. We already filmed it in New Orleans and in Nashville.
Okay.
And then I'm going to Austria on Sunday.
Nice.
That's
Yeah,
where Geronimo is from.
for sure. Yeah.
And so I get to hang out there for a week and go to the
Beautiful.
winery. There's a big press conference. We're doing interviews. A non-alc bottle shop just opened in Austria, the first one.
Really? Okay. Oh, that'll be
Get to
amazing.
Yeah, but there's six sober ladies. There's like sober influencers, if you will, but
Yeah.
they're from different parts of the world. They
Okay.
just happen to be in Austria. We found out, and so we get to meet up with them, and we're gonna like do a tasting, and that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
And then I have right after Austria, I'm coming back. It's gonna be Portland Cocktail Week. I've been going to all the conventions. I've been doing some public speaking and talking about the state of the industry.
Yeah.
And this is really valuable information.
For sure.
Um,
And I think when you're in it as much as you are, sometimes you lose. I feel anyways, you lose perspective. The vast majority of people out there still maybe have heard about dry January or this or that, but really have, there's so much education and exposure that still needs to happen so that people who, and most people to some extent, will have some degree of interest in what's going on here. But to even go through the experience that you went through to even discover it in the first place, I think most people are still out there waiting for that to happen. So it's important what you're doing, both in store and out on the road, and hopefully online and on TV and on streaming. So that's amazing.
yeah, it's an exciting time. I think everybody's everybody's on board for wellness,
Yeah,
So I I don't want to hear any rhetoric about like, this is a shift of $1 trillion industry.
yeah,
And if big alcohol is getting upset because they've been building their businesses, they always do, and then all of a sudden there was a shift, this is more of a tidal shift. This is a
yeah,
seismic one. So
hmm
you can get freaked out a little bit. Don't get mad. Just
yeah,
adapt and pivot. And I'll help you with that. Like, I'll talk to any CEO, food and beverage specialist, professional, any any hospitality group.
yeah,
Like, I'm right here. I would love to talk to you, and I'll get right to the point about what's good and what could work for your individual place or any company. Like, these are ideas that you could have for a pivot. You got to have it as a part of your portfolio now,
right,
and yeah, it's a huge thing because we're talking about business plans that go 5 years from now. Like
yeah,
that, you can't. Don't get mad. Let's
yeah.
get smart. Like
Well,
let's just figure out what to do.
yeah, I found with talking to folks in ALK, like the pandemic was a bit of a blur of what was actually happening. Like with e-commerce, for example, that pandemic kind of amplified something that was already going on in terms of the movement of people to increase their shopping online. But with ALK, you know, it was a good time for them, at least for off-trade sales. And then sales went down post-pandemic, and a lot of it was attributed to, well, it's the pandemic's over, things have changed. But what you're seeing is a seismic change, it's structural change that has to do with buying patterns and behavior patterns, what awareness of what health and wellness. So I think there's some false comfort that's been kind of slowing the response in ALK, but I think that's starting to change, where people, it's been a few years now and they're still seeing some not great numbers, and it can't be because of the pandemic anymore.
Yeah, this is well lower alc was already happening. I could see that in New
Yeah,
York City when I was bartending there, like the
yeah,
Aperol spritzes and how that happened.
sure,
When session IPAs happened,
yeah,
people weren't looking for the 7.2% IPA. They were like,
yeah.
"Oh, I
I want
learned,
the 2.2.
I want more than just two beers." And the trend was towards lower ABV on the menus. That
Yeah,
was the trend. And then and then lower alcohol wines. That'll be really interesting to see what comes next in low alcohol wines. It's going to be a new category essentially.
Absolutely. 100%
And
agree.
then the pandemic hit, and I think alcohol numbers like stayed the same, and the bars weren't open. So
I know, it's
people
crazy. It's
bought.
crazy.
They kept with their drinking habits with other people and did
Yeah.
it with themselves or their loved ones in their homes, and that's why they went through the holidays. They got real hungover then, and then New Year's 2021. What do you think happened? Dry January. They
Yeah.
were like, okay,
Sounds
what
good.
is my relationship with alcohol anyway? Like, I'm not, a problem drinker, but like this is out of hand. Like, look at my recycle bin. I can see it. It's right there. I'm in my
Yeah.
house.
It's not looking good.
And that was when I opened. I opened in the January 21st,
Yeah.
and that was perfect timing. Big article came out in SF Gate,
Okay.
and
Nice.
the millennials showed up. It was like, whoa, okay. It's sold out in the first week. This is awesome. Let's go.
Beautiful. Well, that's great. Listen, Joshua, really appreciated the time hearing about what you're doing in pretty well every channel. So excited to hear more and see how things turn out. Keep innovating. Let everyone know how they can get in touch with you on all those various things. Zero Nemo, Ocean Beach. How can people find out more?
Yeah, GeronimoWine.com, and you can just type in Geronimo. So that's Geronimo is a Native American medicine man. I'm a Native American enrolled tribal member. I grew up
Okay.
on a Native American reservation in Northern California,
Okay.
and that was a neat serendipity with this brand.
Yeah.
They they named it after a Native American medicine man,
Wow.
and it's Geronimo, and you could just type that in, and so
Okay.
GeronimoWine.com. Ocean Beach Cafe, that's on Instagram. You can just type in Ocean Beach Cafe, that'll pop right up. And then Josh the Non-Alcoholic is how it all started. You can see the videos on YouTube, and also my Instagram account, of course, as Josh the Non-Alcoholic. That one's kind of more focused on all these travels that I'm doing.
Sure.
And then of course Ocean Beach Cafe. I gotta promote all those sandwiches and lattes, but tons of non-alc on Ocean Beach Cafe as well. That account is super fun. So definitely go check that one out and get a follow on that one. It's pretty entertaining, and
Nice.
it's just exciting to be a part of all of this. And thank you guys for making products accessible, because accessibility was one of the biggest issues, especially in the beginning.
Yeah.
And it was brands like Better Roads that brought that stuff out to the masses, and spent the big money to let people know that you guys exist, so they knew where to get this stuff. And when people ask me all the time, do you ship? And I'm like, no, I have no interest in packing a box and then dealing with breakage and then customer service and then returns. No, I'm a bartender, and I want people to come to me so I can like shake a drink for them in a hospitality environment and make these world-class cocktails, because that's super fun for me. I'll let Better Roads take care of the shipping.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to compete with that,
Well,
I'll
you're
do my thing.
you're a much wiser man than I. So hats off to you. Josh James, Ocean Beach Cafe, bringing Zero Nemo to America, and much more. Thank you for the time, and it's been great to talk
Thank
to
you
you.
so much, Chris. Nice chatting with you about all the things.
Yeah, looking forward to talking more.